This September, Team Dimension Data and Zwift are joining forces to create a unique cycling opportunity. Open to cyclists of all ages and abilities, the Team Dimension Data Zwift Academy is a world-class training program designed to make you a rider who will accomplish more than just personal fitness gains. For every 10 cyclists who graduate the academy, Zwift will donate a Quebec bike to help mobilize South African communities.
The work that we do with Quebec, we can change the lives of many different people and communities, and hopefully one day a child that starts on a Quebec bicycle ends up at the Tour de France. Zwift is an amazing platform to connect with fans and to ride with people around the world, and takes indoor training to another level.
Zwift, it feels real, like you do a climb, 20-minute climb, a 30-minute climb, it feels real, and that you can really relate that to racing. I always say it's like the best thing since SRM.
I think it's a lot of people that are really strong and maybe not have the chance to show how strong they are.
The Academy doesn't stop here. Top performing graduates under the age of 22 will be invited to compete for a contract with Team Dimension Data's U23 Continental Squad.
This is a real opportunity for any under 23 rider from around the world to come into our Continental team to showcase their talent and to be a part of the national team circuits and the under 23 circuits, and then potentially get into the world tours.
I truly believe that Zwift Academy is going to fill in a huge chunk of that journey from being a dreamer to the reality at the end.
Zwift and Team Dimension Data challenge you to train today for a stronger, better tomorrow. Take action now and sign up at academy.zwift.com.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the KISS Europe Race 2 Day, part of the Zwift Academy races, the two that need to be completed for the program. And it looks like the racers have just gotten out onto course for the A category. I am Nathan Garrett, going to be hosting this race today for you on the London course. So it looks like we also have the B category starting up in about 2 minutes as well. So we will be following them. And then as the C and D category does come into their finishing straights or so, we will jump in with them as much as we can. Over 200 riders were signed up today for the race, and it does look like it's starting out fairly grupo compacto with immediately looks like a little bit of attack from some riders here hanging out in a GCN kit, which is interesting. I'm wondering if this is a newly organized situation here with a kit, as I am seeing maybe an abnormal amount of the GCN amongst these riders I'm looking at here right now, or perhaps just a happenstance. If you want to jump into the broadcast today and interact with it in any way whatsoever, you can go ahead and make comments over on Zwift's Facebook page, on the Mixer or Twitch channels, or you can also tweet at us at Z Community Live, at Z Community Live. I'll try and give you guys a quick little example of that in just a moment here, with somebody tweeting at Z Community Live. We took the Zwift out of the front end of it just because there was a little bit too long for Twitter. But we do have a couple of comments coming right on in over at the Zwift Facebook. Actually seeing Matthew Brewer saying, I should have entered this. Would have been great glory spirit. Good to see you there, Matthew Brewer, tuning in over at the Zwift's Facebook, actually. We're going to go ahead and bring you guys in with your questions and comments as we go through the race today. It does look about 18 seconds for the start of the B category as well, as they do. So we'll see how things are shaping up, but it does look like CMACD is here from the TFC team. The teams that have shown up in force, it does look like Team Poland is here in the in-Gamba kit that they tend to use. PTZ is out here. We're going to have to see if it is going to be the Gravdo and Gren combination that we've seen often as of lately. We do see Vision Cycling out there. I believe that would be Fleetwood here with the usual setup with the Zwift cap and the Vision kit, perhaps. KRT showing up for their race with the KISS Racing Team new kit that they've recently started donning in game as well as in real life. A lot of times when we bring riders in racer on board, we do see that in real life kit as well. Innovation is here. It does look like we do have Mr. Gavin Richardson here right along with, I thought I saw one or two other Alienware kits in the game here for the Innovation boys. We'll have to see if they're able to pull off the W here today as well. So looking through here, we do see it is going to be the B category then starting off now, as this is probably the larger segment of the race today. VRC Marita Bicycles UK. Is that actually going to be our Pro Van? Interesting. I wonder if Mr. Kim Little knows who our program is, as I know that he was riding for Marita. If Kim, if you are hanging out in the broadcast anywhere, let us know if this is a real life teammate or someone that you may know that is along the same lines of riding for Marita there. We do see Curtis there as well from BRT. Bjornsson coming from the KRT racing team as well. BRT showing up in force, it looks like, for the B category today. We'll keep eyes on that team and see if they can. A lot of times they do perform fairly well in the B category. So back in with the A's, on over into Trafalgar Square here is going to be Hardy here, who was saying that he did not know that he was able to race, I believe, out on Zwift. I thought there was a little bit of information coming from him prior to the race. Maybe I'm incorrect about that, as he isn't a full-on KISS Racing Team kit, but there was somebody chatting about not knowing prior to the race that they could jump into these races and race out on Zwift. So really cool to see the new riders jumping into the program today for a great workout. It does look like they're heading out onto some of the newer roads today out on Zwift. A little bit of a flatter section here. Gren almost surprised by it, perhaps. 1.7 watts per kilogram coming from Gren here, as we can see, as he backs off a little bit. 2 laps of the London Loop from the start banner here, and now he heads out on to the added new flat laps out on the course. So maybe these boys and girls are in for a little bit of a surprise. I'm seeing 2 laps London Loop from the start banner. I'm going to double check here real quick and see if we had something else over at the, I'm going to just double check here, see if it does say London Loop course. Yep, 26 miles, 42 kilometers. So now these boys are going on an adventure. We'll have to see if they can figure out where they're going. And oh no, Swedish flags, Gren in the house, Tom Bovary is seen, and Go Soxenham coming from Casey Shum as well over at the Mixer channel, riding for Team Experimental. Don't want to miss them whatsoever. One of the teams I didn't mention yet. And it does look like Oxenham, maybe the only one here hanging out for Team Experimental today on his lonesome. Going to see what he can throw down to try and hang in with these boys and girls. So it does look like BRT here has made this initial break. KRT is in there as well, right along with Innovation. Now, if you're unfamiliar with racing out on Zwift, if you'd like to get involved in the racing, you can go ahead and log into the program either through your Zwift mobile link and check out the events tab, or when you first log into the game and pair your devices, you get presented with a screen that will show you all the events that are about to start on the right hand side of the screen. And here are the rider categories that you're usually able to jump into. Now, if there's an E category, it's for everyone. And usually it'll signify some sort of a watts per kilogram that you can jump into with that. And usually the everyone races are going to be much lower on the watts per kilogram, right from that 0 to 2.5, I would think, maybe even less. But 4.0 or higher watts per kilogram, that is how many watts you can hold divided by how much you weigh in kilograms for 1 hour. How many watts you can hold for 1 hour straight for your FTP test to figure out exactly what that is. And so these and girls at the front of the A category are going to be holding that 4.0 or higher. As you can see, all the riders on the right hand side here do have that A designation, as we do see Gren going away here with Anvik hanging onto his wheel out of Norway here. Phone there as well, coming out of Switzerland, trying to catch up to the rider here. 178 beats per minute coming from Johan here. Anvik here 176, Orgel 178. These are real heart rates, real power coming from these riders right now. And the Innovation rider at 5.6 trying to pull this back in. We do see Szerzynski here, knowing that this is a threat, kicking it into about 169 beats per minute, 450 watts to bring this back, and it's going to start breaking up. Even though it's on a flatter section of the course, it is somewhat of a false flat, though, with a 1% uphill gradient, actually, and these attacks are starting to put a little bit of hurt into some of these riders here. At 168, Jay Levy here, 170 beats per minute, Mac D here, 152, sitting in pretty, maybe waiting for that podium. We always talk about Mac D being right off of that podium in these races. Can he pull it off today? We'll have to see if he can for TFC. We do see Fleetwood here now making this initial front group as well. It does look the first ones to bite the dust off the back will be H. Scott here. On that elite trainer, it looks like that he is designating with that kit. Kropf here coming out of Canada, making up this chase group. It is only 15 seconds up, but I'm not sure they're going to see the front runners again, as a lot of times the reason that things break apart like that is everybody in the group that's chasing did not have the kick or the power to close the gap down and are already on the rivet, already suffering enough that they cannot go any faster in order to catch back up. So, and the front runners just have a higher pace a lot of times for that group. So they'd have to put in a monstrous effort to bring that back as well. It's 17 seconds up, and the way that the draft and the group works together to travel much faster than individual riders. And there's only probably a few individual riders in that chase group that could put down the power, that could close it down. And with this many strongmen at the front of this race, I'm not sure they're going to see him again. We are seeing Johan Grant attacking again into those orange numbers. Whenever you see the orange numbers on the right hand side of the course, you know that the power is going absolutely insane here. Anvik here, 10 watts per kilogram, 36 miles per hour, 31 from Johan, so that's going to be closed down very quickly. Anvik might go flying right on by, actually, and not be seen for a little while. At 6.0 watts per kilogram here, 173 beats per minute, 175 here coming from J.O. Daniel with Oxenham as well, 162. Just sitting pretty, it looks like here, allowing the rest of the riders to pull them along back into the attacks. Just like crit racing, it's just all about conserving that energy and accelerating only at the moments you absolutely need them to happen. So we are seeing here, I would even follow what's going on here. CS Tricks is saying, James Hodges, so you're saying he may fade. Swedish strongest rider is off, I see. Only fourth race of the day. Are you broadcasting SCR tomorrow? Tom Bovary is asking. Yes, I believe we are broadcasting the SCR tomorrow. That is on the schedule. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. I'm doing Zwift Academy. We have to do 2 races for that. Beyond ZA, usually 1 to 2 times per week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So good to see Giannis Denning hanging out at the broadcast. One of the Vision cycling riders, actually, and she's doing the Zwift Academy. She actually participated in some of the races in real life as well with the CVR World Cups and events like that. So good to see Giannis hanging out at the broadcast. And what's going on here? Tom O'Kaland is chatting a little bit about Zwift kits. And will a creator kit become available at some point out on Zwift? Lee Gosden is asking. And that is a really great question. I'm not sure. I don't have an answer to that. A lot of times in games, we do see the ability to create your own kits in game. A lot of times, though, so they would probably have to have some sort of preset for obviously safety or other concerns to not have too much freedom of creation. But would be pretty cool if they did have the ability for some basic abilities to create your own kit in game. Maybe a little bit lower hanging fruit, but we'll have to see if they were able to do that. Think I'm on my own at the back of the B. Glenn Knight is saying. Glenn, we'll definitely try and find you out there. Didn't know that you're out there racing. So good to see that you're out there racing today. Tom at Brisbane is saying, I need to upgrade my iPad to use Zwift. It's an older model. Tom Brisbane, we're really excited to see you out on the platform. And I'm sure that, with the iOS situation, I do know that You do need a little bit newer device in order to jump onto it, though. But it is available, though, for those of you who are asking on Mixer. I am seeing that there. It is available on PC, Mac, as well as iOS and Android devices. Android will be coming soon. Excuse me on that. It will be coming soon, still in beta. But we did see some previews of it, though, recently over at Eurobike. It was being shown off a little bit. Gren's being caught now off the front here. 176 beats per minute right now. We are seeing J.O. Daniel again. This is a rider to be watching out for. We did see him with some solid results recently in the races out on Zwift. Actually was unfamiliar with the rider till he did show us that he can throw down a crazy sprint. 105 races out on Zwift actually, and took a second place in the Zwift Watopia flat race, as well as the WBR race and the Back to Work North America ride, looks like on the 19th and 20th. So that was last week. Last time he did race was the Primal Europe Friday Criterium back on the 22nd, took a 5th place in that actually. I think he did have some competition, J.O. Daniel, in that race. As we look through the results there, it does look like Quentin Lefay had quite a few wins last week. Going to be taking a break, it looks like, this week after winning quite a few sprints. Mr. Quentin Lefay there, 4.3 watts per kilogram though, and the rest of the riders around him putting out 5.3 and 5.0 plus actually. So Quentin playing things fairly smart on Zwift lately. JL Danny was able to take 5th actually up against Johnny Rocket, Philip Diner 40, and Quentin Lefay last week actually. So Jim O'Daniel looks like coming out of the USA. And yeah, that's his recent results all the way through the summer. Actually been racing quite a bit, but mostly EVR Europe as well as starting into the Primal Europe. So good to see him in the KISS races today though. And Montgomery here from the KRT team as well, 3.9 watts per kilogram, 148 beats per minute. It does look like things have calmed down quite a bit as they head on over toward Box Hill right now. P Phone right along with Oxenham. Levy there, it looks like MacD. All of these green badges on the right hand side of the course, that signifies everybody that is a part of the Zwift Academy actually, that is registered for the Zwift Academy. Zwift Academy registration has closed, for those of you who may be wondering. It did close on the 15th, but there are a lot of riders with a lot of workouts and group rides and races that they are getting in because of the Academy. What the goal of that is to have the largest online training community in the world, as well as giving away one U23 contract at the end of the competition. There will be a top 10 semifinalist, and then there will be 3 finalists that will go to the Team Dimension Data Continental Team camp, and then after that, 1 will be selected from those 3. So super exciting program, and we've seen some of the talent actually showing up in that U23 category to some of these races. I have a feeling Zwift's going to have their eyes locked on those racers. Maybe a little verification to happen around them, but then at that point, perhaps be seeing who is throwing down in the workouts and then throwing down in the races. So if you still got to get your races in and you are a U23, it'd be really cool if you shot us a tweet or just a little message. Hey, I'm going to be racing this race or that race, and I'm definitely gunning for that top end of the Zwift Academy for that semifinalist. We'd love to highlight you out on the broadcast. All right, it does look like Johan is winding up here. 10 watts per kilogram, 169 beats per minute right now. Heart rate is rising. 4 seconds right off the bat. Will he be able to hold this kind of pace though? Definitely not 10 watts per kilogram, but you know, after an attack like that, you gotta rest just a little bit here. 6.4 watts per kilogram, 177 beats per minute. Anvik here now trying to follow it up there, 9.2. Gravdo there from PTZ as well. Levy from the KRT chasing now, as we can see. They're starting very early. Usually the attacks do not get going on Box Hill until a little ways up now, as we are seeing here. Usually it's after this first couple of bends here as they get through this 7% gradient, but the attacks already from Gren, Anvik, and Gravdo, but it is going to have to slow down eventually here. Richardson now closing it down, 6.5 watts per kilogram, 168 beats per coming from him, 187 from Levy now. Absolutely suffering. That is a super high heart rate. I believe Levy does max out fairly close to 190 or so. I'm going to look through here over at the results tab, the live results tab, coming from Mr. Jonathan Levy, coming out of the United States here, and giving us a little wave there as well. He knows he's on the broadcast. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Jonathan. Kiss Sunday Europe race, the last one he did back on the 24th of September here. Max heart rate is right into that 193, so giving us that little wave even right there. You know what he did there? I mean, it wasn't a real life wave, but it was a little click of a button either on his Zwift mobile link or one of the numbers on his keypad there. And even that little effort at 186 beats per minute, man, is monster stepping actually. I mean, I think about it when I'm going to throw down a power up in the middle of a race or in the middle of an effort trying to grab a KOM or something out on course. As you can see here on the left hand side here with Box Hill, no data right now. This will be populated soon with how fast they were able to climb this. And of course, you hold on to those power ups in the middle of those attempts on the KOMs to try and take those jerseys or those sprint sections. And especially in the KOMs, those longer ones, when you're holding on to those power-ups, just hitting the button to make it happen is just that extra little bit of effort that has to be put out at 186, 187, 190 beats per minute, everything you got. You can't even breathe. Your body's just screaming for every last bit of oxygen into the legs that it can get. And then you got to push the space bar. So thanks a lot, Levy. I appreciate that, as that was a nice little wave during the broadcast there. 172 here coming from Richardson, right along with Szerzynski chasing it down. Tardy phone is making the group there. And now we do have Evola here coming from the TKBE team, actually out of Belgium. TKBE, one of the, I believe, more popular Zwift racing teams for Belgium riders. Actually, I do know that a few riders coming out of the country do ride for different teams in real life, but do jump into the same team to represent Belgium, actually. And I believe TKBE, one of the more popular shops there. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. There are quite a few that do show up, and they do run a ride, actually, the TKBE team, actually, a few rides out on Zwift. So good to see them showing up for the race today. It does look like 4 seconds, though, to Jay O'Daniel now with Huertas out of Spain. So we'll see if they can close that down. But at 4.1 watts per kilogram and up at the front here, we do see 4.8, 5.0. This is going to be a super fast climb here with Gravdo now at 430 watts or so. So definitely going to be difficult for Daniel and the rest here to close this down now. I'm going to head on over to the social media. Is there a hill in this race? Glenn Knight is saying there is definitely a hill in this race, Glenn. And this comment there, Glenn, where is Glenn Knight in the B category here, so we can see how he's doing, as he's looking for the hills out there, and we'll have to see if he's able to find them. And 10 watts per kilogram, Arthur Glenn is saying, who are these people? So, well, we have an international field here out on Zwift, and kicking into 10 watts per kilogram real quickly there. Not going to be able to hold it for super long, but yesterday, I mean, we were doing sprints out on Zwift, and somewhere between, I was doing the men's sprints, Zwift Academy sprints ride, and we were kicking in somewhere between, I don't know, 10 to 15 watts per kilogram at the front end of the sprints. So, I mean, be able to do that shortly, but you definitely cannot hold that for a super long duration. And I think a lot of times there's some confusion around when they see the 10 watts per kilogram momentarily there, that, you know, even in my head, a lot of times I still go, man, that guy's holding 6 watts per kilogram for this extended period of time or whatever. But really, it was only 30 seconds, maybe a minute or whatever it might be. And in reality, the average watts per kilogram, the riders, if you head on over to zwiftpower.com, you can actually see exactly what they've been holding for the duration of 20 minutes tops so far. And right now, Gravdo 4.7 watts per kilogram, Anvik 5.0, Levy there at a 4.6, and the entire time they've been right up into that tempo or threshold heart rate. So this has been a very difficult effort for these riders up until this point. Still, they haven't been sitting pretty or anything. Zwift racing is definitely a high tempo to VO2 max effort all around. you know, not obviously not VO2 max all the way throughout the entirety race, but it's pushing you all the way through. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people say it's some of the best training that they've ever gotten, and it pushes them to the max. I remember Ian Bibi being out on course, third place in the Road Race National Championship at the pro elite level, actually, out of the UK, saying that he set a new max heart rate from his garage racing out on Zwift, actually, a few weeks back, actually, when he showed up to, I believe it was a Thursday night KISS race. And it's because of that ability for the riders to just continually push and push and push and push, and there is no back off. As you can see, when they do back off, it's still 3.0 to 3.5 watts per kilogram. So it's still this steady effort that you have to hold all the way through, plus the attacks that you would usually see in a racing effort. So that's why it is absolutely, I mean, if nothing else, it is absolutely one of the best workouts that you can possibly get. I was using the KISS 100 races, actually, get on the bike at midnight after the kids all go to sleep on a Saturday and race till 3 a.m. for the KISS 100 just to get in that prep for the races that were coming in May. That was a lot of my spring and winter training, actually. So looking through here, we do see gravel now. This is the kicks up and over the top of Box Hill. A little bit slower today, 608.2 actually. So it looks like they're because of the extra mileage out on the course today, looks like they're taking it a little bit easier. Now we are seeing Levy here, 183 beats per minute, has about 10 beats to work with for absolute max. But you do know once you hit absolute max, you have put all of the sugar out on the table. I mean, it is all burnt up at that point. Not completely, but I mean, it's pretty much like you are, you've put all your cards on the table, and you better hope everybody else has too, and they're ready to recover. And it looks like Levy here, though, 183, still has a little bit to work with here. 3 seconds off the front. They're going to have to be careful here with 5 seconds back to Tardy here. This is starting to break apart, and without a group to close things down, he may not be seen. Again, if he keeps this consistent, he's got the gap now, but now we do see the innovation rider Gavin here closing it right on down. Tardy off the back, though, he will be the first one to bite the dust after the climb here. Levy now kicking it again, 11.6 watts per kilogram. That's a mistake that can be made a lot of times out on Zwift because it does act so much like real life when it comes to finding the draft, but you have to time things correctly. A lot of times you look at the watts per kilogram on the right-hand side of the course rather than the speed and the avatars and the way that they are coming up to you. And so a lot of times when you are trying to grab back onto a wheel, what you need to do is pay attention to the speed that the riders and the velocity that the avatars are coming at you rather than just the watts per kilogram on the right-hand side of the course, because somebody within that group might have been pulling a moment or two ago to keep that group traveling at a lot higher rate than the current watts per kilogram that are happening, or the miles per hour, and so, or the kilometers per hour or miles per hour is actually be much more important when they come up to you, just like in real life. So you're going to need to have around that speed, and then jump into the back of the pack quickly there. A lot of times people will go to 0 watts per kilogram while waiting for the riders to come up to them. There's actually like a braking in game a lot of times if you do just go to 0 watts per kilogram. So be careful of that, unless you're on a downhill, and then it does go into that Sagan tuck. But definitely be careful and be attentive to the UI user interface of how you are going to jump into those wheels. I think a lot of times people get too focused on the watts per kilogram on the right-hand side rather than kind of playing the game a little bit, using the controller that is your pedaling to grab onto the wheels just like you would in real life. All right, we're going to grab onto a few more comments here over at the social media here. How many races a week should you do on Zwift? Omed Petchem. Well, Omed, there are some people who race every day, and I don't know if I would suggest that for the best training. If you're doing a training block, though, we did say Quentin Lefebvre, we were saying that last week, coming out of France, riding for Vision Cycling, he did almost a race a day, I think, but I think that was a big training block, and then he backed off this week. I personally would do about 1 or 2 races a week during my very high intensity training. And when I'm really trying to get ready for racing, everything else would be mainly intervals. Now, if it's very motivating for you, though, to race and get pushed by others, and you're not that interested in just sitting around doing intervals all the time, maybe it's the other way around for you. Maybe you do one interval session a week, and then your other 2 intensities or one other intensity is a race. Or maybe you're just like, I just don't like sitting there looking at intervals, and I like the interaction and being interactive with other riders. 2, maybe 3 races then a week. It also depends on the volume that you have. It depends on how much experience you have in riding. 1 race a week might be all that you can handle. At least that, though, I would think would be something that somebody could handle. It would be 1 race a week. So if you're newer to cycling, newer to training in cycling, a lot of times I would think, see where you're at for 1 race a week, see how it impacts you, what your recovery like is from it. And then, give it 2 or 3 days, and then you can go at it again. If you really enjoy it and it gets you motivated to ride the bike and you get a good workout from it, that is absolutely great. Regards from Spain. I'll try it soon. Sounds good, Ruben. Thanks a lot for tuning in over at the broadcast on Zwift's Facebook. We're going to head on over to Twitch as well as Mixer here and see what the chat is over there. We are seeing DP Arcade. How's it going there? Racing Mike S. R. Proven has in his LinkedIn profile that he's an account manager at Merida Bicycles. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Racing Mike. Raced till 2 a.m. GG on that one, Arcade. Dude, I read that's the Nathan hours for racing. That's the only time. So actually, that's part of the Zwift story for me, at least, was that a lot of times for me to get my training in prior to Zwift, actually, I would be riding a bike and distracting myself by not watching Netflix or anything like that, but actually playing other games that weren't Zwift because Zwift didn't exist. And then when Zwift started existing, I started jumping on after the kids were to bed. So we got a few kids in the house here, and I'd put those boys and girls to bed and then jump on the bike and ride for 3 to 5 hours at a time in the middle of Wisconsin winters. If you don't know how cold it gets here, it gets down to, I believe it is -20 degrees Fahrenheit at times. Even a fat bike can't solve that situation a whole lot of times. So I would be jumping on the trainer late night and then be hammering away until about 2 or 3 a.m. anyway. So the KISS races, actually, the KISS 100 races, Europe edition was perfect for my training schedule, actually. Here, all right, Fawn back at the front. Nothing about Nathan and his stories here. Innovation is at the front here. 4.3 watts per kilogram, 293 watts. We're seeing 152 beats per minute. Fawn here out of Switzerland has made this front group. Anvik is there as well. Jay Levy there, 155. Gravda, 134. Super chill at this point. Watch out for the attack from this rider. Szynski, 158 beats per minute as well. Tardy off the back here from KRT, going to be biting the dust. So KRT no longer represented in that front group now. Here it does Evola right along with O'Daniel. 3 chasing him down. It's going to be up to Tardy here for the solo effort. Now 2.1 watts per kilogram. I'm going to give him a ride on for encouragement, but it is a long ways to the finish line at this point here. And CS Trick saying that I have found extended Zwift racing and steady load does get a bit stale fitness. If I take a small dips in CTL and effort, I get big jumps when I pick back up the intensity. Yeah, and you do need those rests for sure. It's all about plateaus, CS Tricks. So you hit the plateau and you can't go much higher, and you actually have to come back down a little bit, grab a little bit more oxygen and resources, if we are talking about mountain climbing as an example or an allegory, and then go back up. Okay, so you do hit those plateaus. You got to back off a little bit, rest a little bit, and then find the next plateau that you can go to. So it's all about those rests and those rhythms in the training. That is for sure. All right, let's get into the B category. We have not given them a whole lot of love just yet out in the broadcast, so let's make sure that we see what's happening here. We do have B Curtis here from the BRT team as they head through the underground here. It looks to be the front end of the race, right along with Wilt's Ryder right on his wheel here. Snatters coming out of the Netherlands as well, right along with D. George BR from Sweden there at the front end of this race. It looks like it is going to be about 10 riders or so making their way out of the underground here, with Osterstedt out of Norway, kicking 138 beats per minute. He's got a lot to work with here. 15% green, 8 watts per kilogram. Grupo Compacto all day long here, it looks like, for these riders. Are they all in that low of a heart rate? Looks like they were taking it fairly easy on the downhill here. Now kicking to 160 beats per minute. MR here from Race WBR, the WBR team out on course here, representing in the B category. One of them that we haven't spotted yet out there today. Good to see. The World Bicycle Relief showing up in force at the front end of this race. Let's see if we can find the Colonel out there as well. Is the Colonel Crisp racing? No, but we do have Nathan, it looks like, here from the Race WBR team, as well as Briar Lee out of the UK. So WBR hammering away at the front of the Bs here, but will they be able to hold on to a spot? They've always made these front groups, but it's all about the sprints at the end a lot of time, or Box Hill. We'll see if they are able to maybe send a rider off the front on Box Hill, but this is your top 10 or so in the race for the B category. D. George just barely off the back here in that Training Peaks kick. Can he throw down just a little bit of effort here to bring back that 3 seconds? 4.9 watts per kilogram in the B category. Remember that these riders, the riders in the A category, will be kicking into about 5 to about 8 watts per kilogram. 8 will be almost into a driller to sprint effort. Not quite a sprint effort, but they'll definitely be drilling the pace at that point. The little bit different. So if you look at the B categories at 3.2 to 3.9 watts per kilogram, then if they are going into about 4 to about 6, maybe 7 watts per kilogram, that's going to be a serious attack. So holding on to about 4.5 to 5 watts per kilogram for George here is definitely well over threshold here into a VO2 max effort. What they can hold for about 1 to 5 minutes at the top during a race effort here. So D. George putting out a huge effort there to get back on terms, does so, backs off the pedal stroke there for just a moment and finds a wheel. Nice job to him as he's not dropped off from this group. Strauss is here now from coming out of the Netherlands, 44 seconds back, leading out D. Richards, who's just catching him out of Germany. Campbell's there as well, and it does look like it is a chase group of 3 for the BRT team there, with Campbell now chasing down the riders just ahead of him. They are chatting away a little bit here about how to organize, it looks like, to make a chase. Cool to see the riders that are out using the chat feature in order to organize. We are seeing, though, at the front end of the race, Anvik right along with Fallen. It looks like Gravdo and it looks like Szerzynski, Levy, all able to make this initial attack right now. This was the little climb into the square, actually, as they're exiting the square out onto the newer section of the flatter London course here. We are seeing Anvik still off the front by about 1 second. It is a 3-second back gap back to Szerzynski. Johan now at the back of this group here, playing pretty chill, actually, as it was his teammate Gravdo who made the initial attack. So it looks like it was a coordinated effort between the PTZ riders. They're going to be the ones to watch out for, and the favorites today, I believe, as Johan Gren is almost unstoppable. But Anvik, maybe out of Norway, could be the man to bring him off the podium today. We'll have to see, or at least off that first place today in the race. So heading back on over to the social media here. What does KISS stand for? It stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. So for the KISS races, if you're unfamiliar with how it all started, so the KISS races started as one of the first races that were all about allowing any of the mechanics that are in game, any of the features in game, into the race. So, and then there were the ZTR races, which are now ZTR XRS races. So this is back during beta when we first started racing out on Zwift. We'd meet up at the start finish banner on Watopia, and we'd all have our computers synced to a certain time that was the start time, so that you knew that you were all starting at the same time. Somebody would say go, 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 just in case in game. And for the KISS races, they were ones that would allow power-ups and TT bikes, because it was a very difficult thing to control at that point. Now that we have the event module, we can say no TT bikes, we can say no power-ups, and you can change what the event allows. But at that point, it was just open world, and the community just started organizing races. We're going to meet at the start-finish line at this point. We're going to do 4 laps around this course, and and then the broadcasts, we had like a lot harder job because we had to take screenshots screenshots during the broadcast the second that they came across the line to make sure that we knew who won. And I had to make sure every time that I had the perfect view. Like right here, we'd be push 7 and then push 0 to make sure as they came by. Right there, okay, this is it, and I can see which wheel is front or whatever. And we'd have like replay after replay gone after the broadcast. It was definitely, that was actually a lot of fun those times. But keep it simple, stupid, because the idea was that we just need to keep it simple, allow what everybody has access to in game, allow a little bit of RNG. I actually favor that personally, but at the same time, I completely understand the more ZTR or the I believe TFC does not allow power-ups, SZR doesn't as well, and that's cool as well. I believe there's a little RNG in real life in that the power-ups actually simulate that random numbers game that you do get in real life as well. You get certain drafts at certain times that other people don't get. You get tailwinds at certain times that other people don't get. You get a little luck here and there in real life racing. I think actually even more luck comes into play actually in real life racing than there is in the RNG for the power-ups in Zwift. So I think it's a cool thing. So the whole idea with Keep It Simple Stupid was let's not try and control it too much and allow the game be what it is, and people can use whatever is available to them and use their skill with whatever's available to them in the game to try and win the races. So that's what that was all about. Thanks a lot for the question. I appreciate that, Chris. I believe, actually, excuse me, Tom Sawyer. Appreciate the question over at Zwift's Facebook. Chris Radley saying he's treating himself to a KFC. Well deserved. Wait, what's going on here, Chris Radley? Did I miss something? Jay Gravdo here from the PTZ leading it out here. 153 beats per minute. It's all calmed down before they hit Box Hill again. Looks like they're waiting for that next time up for the attacks here. So let's get back into the B category as they're making their way into the square. This is the point at which the race broke up for the A's on this final lap. So let's go ahead and see how things are going to turn out for this B category through this section. We are seeing WBR now kicking into 87 watts per kilogram. We're also seeing MR here. They lost the sprint last week, I believe, these two riders for the WBR racers, so maybe trying to send a few off the front. I do believe they are coordinating this. This is a very well coordinated attack, as we do see WBR all at the front. And now anybody who does not make this break from the WBR should probably back off and not pull the rest of the riders right along with him. Nathan from Race WBR, unless he can kick strong here, he actually doesn't have anybody on his wheel, though. He can see, for those of you who do not know, 5 meters is what you have to be within in order to get a draft. And the 3 WBR riders actually have a break at this point without anybody on their wheel, but they have to continue. They've put so much effort out at this point that there's no longer, at 185 beats per minute, there's no longer anything in the legs to continue on with the effort. And it does look like Austed able to, at 6 watts per kilogram, to close this right on down, but there's nobody on his wheel as well. He's actually not doing the usual just pull the group back in. He's doing the smart move to cause a break at this point at 6.4 watts per kilogram. George having to throw down 5.0 here. And as we were saying earlier, these riders at 3.2 to 3.9 watts per kilogram FTP, these are way over FTP. And now we are seeing this break here of 5 riders with Austed, Race WBR in there with Briley, Nathan, as well as MR. And we are seeing out of Sweden here, the rider BR as well. 5 off the front here, but it looks like Val Biker here coming out of Portugal's got something to say about that as he closes it right on down on the Go-Go Power Rangers there with B. Curtis there as well from the BRT team, able to close it down. The WBR boys probably slamming their keyboards right now, and a little bit of Z-Power rage, but Val Biker closes it right on down. And no heart rate monitor either. So front end of the B category getting thrown down. Lots of WBR chicken dinners tonight, Rads. Oh my goodness, James Farron. Now, is that actually a PUBG, a little bit of a PUBG chat? Does that just happen to be somebody going for winner chicken dinner there in general there? Good to see there James Farron hanging out and saying, WBR, go get it here. No HR for phone. Oh, no, Tom O'Kalen is saying. So we'll have to see if phone is going to get a DQ maybe from that. As in the A races, you do have to have a heart rate monitor so that at least the riders can see that there's something real going on for the racers, actually. And so now we are seeing all back together for the B category here. There's the chase group about 15 seconds back of Wilt, and then it looks like Snatters as well as Verhoeven coming from CTWT. out there on course out of the Netherlands now. So 5 riders now chasing down that lead group at 18 seconds up. They're not going to be seen again, I do not believe. So now in the A category, we are seeing here all Grupo Compacto. Now Anvik right along with Gren. Szerzynski definitely slowed down here. 23 miles per hour coming from these riders. 10 miles per hour slower, actually, currently than the B riders that are chasing them down from behind here. But we are seeing it is definitely chilled out. J.L. Daniel, 126 back with the Evola. They're not going to be seen again, so they're not too concerned at this point about the other riders. But Fawn now kicking 8.9 watts per kilogram, not waiting for the climb up onto the top of Box Hill. That's actually a smart move, I believe, as I'm not sure he can hang on to the likes of Levy and Gren and Gravdo. So trying to break things apart here very early. Now Gravdo kicks right onto that wheel here, chases it right on down. 20-meter gap, though. These two could be gone now and increase their lead. But Szerzynski kicks into 6.4 watts per kilogram. He's got that all day long. He's definitely one of the more steady riders out on course. Can't follow all the kicks a lot of times, but can definitely ride at a high, steady pace all day long. Szerzynski need to bring that group right back in, almost like a team time trial. The Colonel KFC, Nathan, got it. Thank you so much there, Chris Radley. I appreciate that clarification very much. Lots of WBR chicken dinners tonight. Got it. Nothing whatsoever here. So, Racy Mike is saying over at the Twitch channel here, my CTL is 46.6 below this time last year. Feels bad, man. Racy Mike, me and you, boy, let's get out there because I think we got the same CTL right now. Let's jump out on Zwift right after the race today. I'll do some riding with you. Maybe we'll do a Zwift Academy workout. That's a great thing about riding Zwift. I got some work to do, but I got my keyboard in front of me. I got my handlebars right underneath my desk, and I got the keyboard ready to go, get the work done while still riding out on Zwift. So let's make it happen, Mike. You get that CTL right back up. CS Tricks is saying that I love power-ups in races when I get a helmet. Otherwise, they are awful. And Webb just beat me in the sprint with no power-up, and I had an arrow. Ouch! Williams, that hurts. Vision Cycling for the win, it sounds like there. And I'm doing Z8 number 6 at 3:15. CS Tricks is saying. So I'm not sure if I'm going after ZA6. We'll have to see. Well, I'll have to see if I can handle workout mode and the keyboard at the same time. I know I can. We'll see if I want that kind of concentration, though. We'll have to see. Big crowd watching tonight. Go Race WBR coming from John Vender. I'm not going to get this one right here. Vanadernare. No, that's totally wrong. That sounded way too Spanish there. But Go Race WR. Smash it in the Cat B boys. Nathan, Super, Matt, Ray, and WBR from the Colonel Russ Crisps. Could you see there, Russ Crisps? Thanks a lot for tuning in. And James Farron here also. WBR cheering is going on. So the B category, we'll definitely keep an eye on those boys. And they've been attacking like crazy. My question is, do you guys have a director sportif in a Discord channel right now, letting everybody know what to do and when? That'd be pretty cool, actually. I know a few teams, including Vision, do have some DSing going on in the Discord channels, actually let people know what to do and when. A little bit of coaching happening. A little bit of shout out to the new maybe online sports here, because the reality of having coaches in your ears at some of these major esport likes events is definitely a reality. Having a DS there on site, maybe at some of the events that we've been seeing throw down, the eCrit recently, or perhaps the CVR that happened recently as well. That'd be pretty cool, actually, if teams were going against teams and they actually had a director there telling them what to do, when, and how. Just like we do have in some of these Discord channels. I do know that for sure Vision does that. I believe Innovation might have a little bit that as well now. Matt Ray is B Road Captain, Nathan. He is the man. Thanks a lot, Chris Radley, for the information there on Zwift's Facebook there for the WBR team. I'll keep an eye out about Matt Ray. All right, so now we are seeing Phone here. Up toward the front, out of Switzerland. He did make an attack early on on the flatter section of the course there, heading on over the bridge. Wasn't able to get away, so we'll see if he's got any more matches to burn here. Anvik now, I think, watch out for this rider. They're for the early attack. I think they're all watching, though, Gren at this point, almost undefeated, I believe, out on the Zwift. So we'll have to see if Johan, there it is, like we said, the prediction there with the aero power up before they hit the climb itself, goes in with about 29 miles per hour here. 10 watts per kilogram real quick there. Grado from PTZ following it up. Szerzynski there, 168 beats per minute as well. Phone, Levy there, Anvik there, Innovation there with Gavin Richardson is still in the mix now. Szerzynski now at the back, I think perhaps caught off a little bit of guards, or perhaps just no matches to burn at this point. Going to be consistent maybe for his effort to try and chase this right back down. But Anvik is going right along with Gravel, and it looks like Gren. This is the three out the front. Levy trying to chase that down. 173 beats per minute, actually. He's got about 20 to work with for a max heart rate. 178 there from Anvik now, and then it will be Gravel at 150 beats per minute. Looking over at ZwiftPower.com here. Let's just double check these riders. We actually have. So looking at, definitely, this is really interesting to look at over at ZwiftPower.com. It is the official place for results for these community races right now. And I do not believe the win is going to be able to go to Gren as of today until there is some Zara approval coming through. It does look like he has been tagged for a DQ out there today. So did get a little bit of a flag on him today. So Gren maybe off the front, but we'll call it as we see it. But it does look like, as far as the community goes, have tagged him there. So Gravdo will have to take it for PTZ out there today. 4.6 watts per kilogram coming from him for the duration today. Anvik now chasing him down as well. So it will be Gravdo and Anvik for the official W, I believe, out there for the community. But Gren's still out the front here, 174 beats per minute. What does he max out at? That's my question out there today. Gren, we'll have to see how he has been doing. Did he race already today? So we are seeing 926. Yes, he did have a WBR flat, WBR 4, and a Kiss America's AM actually already today, and won all of those races. So we are seeing, and if you guys want to have, so we'll leave that alone, but we are seeing, all he has to do though to have these removed is the community has an approval process actually that you can go through when you do over 5.0 watts per kilogram. And so the reason being is that if you do not have a domestic pro or international pro license, and even if you do, you still have to get Zwada approval to show you can throw down those watts per kilogram. But you submit a strain gauge power meter from real life effort. You go out, do a 20-minute effort, show that you can throw down that 20-minute effort about the same to what you are seeing in real life. And then the community organization, Zada, as well as the races, officials will then lift those DQs and reinstate the results. And so there's just a little bit of watchdog there from the community just to make sure that things aren't getting too out of control at the front end of these races here. So color of the Tron wheels should match the kit. And Kurt Tom of Kalen is saying we are seeing PTZ there with a good matching there, as Gravdo kicking it at 5.7 watts per kilogram, 142 beats per minute though coming from Gravdo as well at 142 beats per minute. What does Gravdo max out at? That's going to be an interesting question here. If he's throwing down at 142. Has a max heart rate though of 180. Is going to be an easy day here for Gravdo as well. So Levy here chasing it right on down. Maybe the rider who can take the official win out there today with, I wonder, does Levy have a Zada approval badge though? We'll have to double check on Levy here as well, as I do believe he's thrown down some solid efforts. 8 races out on Zwift, not a whole lot of races on Zwift, and already has that Zada approval badge. So he went ahead and threw down that strain gauge power meter effort and gave that to the community. They said, oh yeah, that looks like the efforts you're throwing down in the game, and is able to win races outright today. Anvik trying to chase that down now, as we do see a 13-second gap back to Szerzynski here, right along with Richardson trying to chase that down. These will be the two trying to hold off Fawn as they make their way to the top here. Levy getting dropped off by PTZ boys, and close that down, Levy, because you know it'll be a better workout once you are on that wheel, if you got to hold on to those boys off the front, you are going to get a workout way beyond what you have ever had before. So absolutely great job out there, Jonathan Levy, hammering away and able to grab onto that wheel for the KISS Racing team today. Looking through some of the comments here, DB Arcade still saying, do you stream, Mike? So there is a little bit of questions there about actually over at the Twitch channel. If you do want to stream over on the on Twitch or Mixer channels, let us know. We're doing all that we can to support the community in streaming and training you guys up for that. Myself as well as Mr. Jonathan Noblet doing a great job, Johnny, to support the community and their efforts in streaming actually. So make sure to contact us. You can do so through Zwift Community Live's Facebook messages, tweet at us, or just find myself or Johnny. So great to get involved if you're unfamiliar with all things street. So Quentin LaFay sitting there. I'm not even going to keep watching. It's getting, oh my goodness, Quentin LaFay. Come on, Quentin. You can keep watching. I see you there still, Mr. Bunnyface here. So Gravdale now kicking over the top here. It's not crazy fast actually over the top here. 605 over Box Hill. And, you know, we've seen into the 550s from verified power sources. So they aren't going all out just yet here. But 166 here coming from Johan Gran. Levy now still in it now. But it is 41 seconds back here. As you can see, the damage that Box Hill can do to the riders there out on course. And we are seeing Strzezinski now, 4.1 watts per kilogram, hanging on just barely to the likes of Gavin Richardson and Fawn. 40 seconds back from those front runners. And Vic there, 4.2 here, 172 beats per minute. With that drafting power up, reducing the power he has to actually put out in order to hang on to those wheels. But there's a feather power up coming from Levy there, 6.8 watts per kilogram, 171 beats per minute as he kicks it over the top of the final climb on Box Hill. But it will be Gren into 9.3. And will Levy be able to hang on? And Vic now kicking one last time. Levy looked like he was waiting a little bit there to leverage the 12 watts per kilogram real quickly as he comes over the top there. 179 beats per minute, reserving, it looks like, anything he can to hold on to these wheels. It's going to be a 4-up sprint, I predict, unless Gravdal cannot hang on now. 174 beats per minute coming from Gravdal now, as we are seeing innovation here hanging on Strzezinski's wheels. Strzezinski here, 7.9 watts per kilogram. Phone now 8.2 on the back. Levy now 8.7 watts per kilogram, 175 beats per minute, hanging on the wheels now. 4 riders on the back into the B category race, though. We are seeing it is going to be at the front. They are turning the screws, it looks like. WBR now with the S. Brealey now, as he is trying to hold on to Valbike's wheel. That is a Go-Go Power Ranger off the front, though. And if he's able to hold on to that, that's going to be a solid effort all day long here. 3.8 watts per kilogram. Nathan from Race WBR is there, as well as MR now. George now out of the UK, surrounded by WBR kits, though. Going to have a tough time holding down for the sprint there. But Briley's got 15 seconds. 15 seconds isn't a whole lot, as you can see, over the top of Box Hill, though. I mean, we saw 40 seconds difference as soon as they came up and over the top of the climb. This will probably go out to about 30 to 40 seconds, though, if he's able to hold on to it. But 14 seconds, if they close that down, it's going to be coming down to a sprint effort again. Briley's going to have to hold on to this super solid effort here in this B category right now. We are seeing him right in that 3.8 watts per kilogram, actually, for the duration of the race. Valbiker there with an A category effort on the Power Rangers there with 4.2 watts per kilogram, actually. Briley 3.8. We are seeing Osted there, 3.8, 3.7 there from Wilt's Rider as well. Nathan from Race WBR and MR all into 3.6 watts per kilogram for the duration of the race so far. All within category limits, so definitely going to have a race on our hands here for that first place. But George chasing it down now. Solid effort there from D. George, actually. 4.3 watts per kilogram, though, for D. George from the HSS there. He's going to need to upgrade to the A category with that kind of an effort there. David George, United Kingdom. Looks like maybe either triathlete or TT specialist, actually. Riding for HSS in game, actually. And so HSS, unfamiliar with this team. It is registered over at ZwiftPower.com, but just David George is the one who is on that team, it looks like. 33 races out on Zwift, and David has, it looks like, taking a 5th place in the B category, a 3rd place in the C category, actually, and is gotten a few upgrade warnings actually in the past year as we're looking to the A category, as we're looking back through the summer all the way into May and April there. So time for that upgrade, it looks like here, for Mr. David George out there out of the UK. So make sure to grab those upgrades. You can check whether or not you need an upgrade anytime over at zwiftpower.com. Pretty easy to do. You head on over to zwiftpower.com and you bring in the column here. So you see this 20-minute power column. You're seeing 4.7 watts per kilogram actually from Anvik here. Absolute best we've actually seen from the rider. And you can see the red. All the red here means that you've gone actually at your best or over category limits. So D George here at 4.3, you can see he's actually over the category limits. So it's time for an A category, 4.0 or higher for 20 minutes is what the A category expectations are. All right, here's the attacks though at the front end of the A category race though that we're speaking about. Levy now kicking the 7 watts per kilogram, able to hold on through the underground actually. Gravdo 4.1 watts per kilogram. They've got a 6-second gap over Anvik. They were able to drop him off through the underground. Levy able to hang on out of the US of A. PTZ versus KRT out on course now. A couple of Tron bikes up against the Cervelo S5 with those zip wheels. Used to be the fastest bike out on Zwift until they upgraded the Tron bike, which it should be, as the Tron bike definitely takes a monstrous effort in order to get Levy maybe still getting his climbing in order to grab that Tron bike. Here, he's going to get the 1-2, though, coming from PTZ. PTZ is definitely going to be attacking left and right here, playing some cat and mouse games, making Levy chase everything down that they possibly can, but they might mess it up. I mean, it's always difficult if you don't put enough of attack down in order to play those games if you don't got the effort in order to do so. Gren going from way out, 11 watts per kilogram. Levy's going to have to go now. Does he got an arrow power to close this down because it's already a 13-meter gap. Looks like it's GG to Gren, but maybe Levy can close it down. 15 watts per kilogram, actually. Wasn't sure he's going to be able to do it, but he's still got 800 watts here. 9.3 watts per kilogram. He's closing it down meter by meter. I didn't think it was going to happen, but there it is. Levy, Jonathan Levy, throwing down what he's got out on course here. Oh, my goodness. That was quite the effort. Shows Gren what's up there out on course, and it is 186 beats per minute across the line, as we can see him put the hands in the air and takes the W for the KRT team. What an effort there from Jonathan Levy. Will be Gren second, Gravdale third. Anvik will be coming across the line for fourth. Then we do have Strzinski, Innovation, Richardson, right along with Phone. 3 riders just looking at each other. I mean, look at the speed comparisons here of those front runners coming in, these boys. Definitely just waiting for the jump. And here's the thing, if you wait like that on Zwift, the gap will open up so quickly, just like in real life too. I mean, it's very similar. When you're traveling very slowly like that, and then somebody jumps with a big gear and instantly grabs onto about 5 miles per hour quicker, they're just gone. 3 seconds, it's over. And there goes Strzinski with the arrow power up. Innovation's going to have to be settling for, I believe it's 6th or 7th out there on course. Phone comes across the line next. Nice job to him. Hjorta's there out of Spain. 5.1 watts per kilogram with Frank and BRT coming to the line out of the Netherlands. There's going to be another sprint effort there to the line. I think Ovola now. There's the gap now. Will he be able to hold on to it? TKBE with 5.0 watts per kilogram. Now, it looks like it's going to be Hjorta's, off the front there. Out of Spain, 172 beats per minute, 3-second gap. BRT's not going to see him again, but it's every man for himself at this point. No drafts. Tardy now trying to chase down those boys, and not going to happen. Franken now kicking away from Evola, but Evola closing it down 8 meters. 8 meters. There's the gap. Doesn't have a draft just yet. Hjortas is gone. 9 watts per kilogram coming from the man out of Belgium, and it looks like he's going to be able to make this happen full on to the line. For some reason, it reminded me of cyclocross race season now coming into view here. And so here we go with Evola now as he takes second to Hjortas, as well as Franken across the line for the BRT team. All right, so back in with the Bs with the WBR. Briley was caught It looks by Mr. MR, actually. WBR off the front here, actually. Look at that Val Biker go, though, on the Go-Go Power Rangers. George now 0 watts per kilogram on that Sagan Tuck, trying to hold off Wilt's rider. And it will be then 172 beats per minute with Briley and Race WBR off the front now. And the crowd goes wild over at the Zwift Facebook, I would think. And do they, let's see here, Lee Gosden chatting away here. Do they fund the purchase of a power meter too? Lee Gosden is saying no, they do not fund the purchase of a power meter. Lee Gosden, and that's the thing. There is a fine line there, because a year or two ago, I would have said at the beginning of Zwift, if you're racing and riding at 5.0 watts per kilogram to 6 watts per kilogram and do not have a power meter, I'd be surprised, right? I'd be not surprised, but like, okay, you're kind of an outlier a little bit, maybe. Most professional to elite athletes at this point are riding with a power meter at that point. Now, with things like Zwift Academy that are trying to find those riders that are being developed in the community, right? So there's a whole community that's on Zwift that are developing new riders that might not have ever been seen at this international type field before, and never had a chance that they would have now, in order to maybe show that they've got 5+ watts per kilogram. And so at this point, no, they do not. That is definitely not funded. But at the same time, I think that there is a buy-in price to either rent, borrow, or find a power meter in some way. You got, I mean, a lot of these riders, I mean, they get their bikes at a local bike shop in some respect. So at a certain point, I definitely, as a third-party community member, Nathan Guerra's opinion, there's a buy-in price for racing at the highest level of racing, I think, and verification. And so if it's just out there for fun, and we're just like racing for fun and getting a good workout, awesome, great, that's totally awesome. And then there's also like a little bit of like, hey, you're showing up week after week, whooping on everybody, demolishing everybody. There's a buy-in price to get that. There's a little, there's a little bit of, hey, find a power meter, put some work into it. Go find that strain gauge and show us that you got that effort. So I think, and I think it's like that in most sports, actually, that at a certain point to get it to the highest level, there's a little bit of a buy-in price. So, and I completely agree with that approach, actually. So, Lee Gosden, but no, they don't fund that. There have actually been teams though that have funded, power meters being for verification within the team, actually, which I think is a really smart idea of a team, because if a team's getting a lot of flack, your riders are this, your riders are that, what's going on with all of this off stuff going on with your riders, and they crowdfund a power meter that's got a good verification source on it, that's a verified good power meter, strain gauge power meter, and then they send it around to the riders that need verification. That's a good crowdfunding effort there by a team out on Zwift. One of the reasons I would maybe even look into a team for support, actually, out on Zwift, that they do provide that service to their members, actually. So Jonathan Villegas says, hello, is my FTP 246, but I've never raced. Should I join the C or D category? Jonathan Villegas, thanks a lot for the question. If you're still here, I hope you are. It's all about watts per kilogram. So as these riders make their way to the line, the WBR riders, it's Grupo Compacto amongst teammates. We will watch them sprint it out. Hopefully no love lost between them, and they actually give an effort there to out sprint each other. But it's about watts per kilogram. Take those watts that you have for your FTP and divide them by how much you weigh in kilograms, and that will give you a ratio. Wherever it fits here on this scale, 0 to 2.4 actually for D, then jump into that category. So find that ratio and then jump into that category for racing out on Zwift. All right, here we go with the WBR boys to the line. We did see Briley at the front leading it out, 3.9 watts per kilogram. And it will be, it looks like Briley right along with MR now, 2.9 watts per kilogram coming along. And WBR will definitely take after you, Briars. So it looks like allowing Briley to take the W perhaps today. They're being too kind to each other. No sprint, it looks like, to the line. They'll be holding hands, it looks like. Grupo Compacto, perhaps. Or maybe Briley's going to give us a little bit of kick. Where's the show? What kind of sprint do they got? Nope, it's all about the team today, it looks like, as Briley comes across the line. MR going to take second. D. George here now with a solid effort. David George, 3.9 watts per kilogram. As you can see, it's not all about FTP though, as this rider definitely has a higher FTP than those other two, but they were able to work the tactics and get away from David George. Out on course. For third place, though, goes to David. Wilt's rider here, 4.8. It looks like to the line here, 191 beats per minute. What a solo effort. That is killer. Brutal effort there, 190 beats per minute. Absolutely suffering. Now Verhoeven here to the line, as you can see here, 8.1 watts per kilogram. Nathan Race WBR just able to nip him at the line for that fifth place, it looks like, across the line. Osted will be taking the spots right behind them as well. Go on, WBR. Bruce Edwards is saying some cheering out there. Joe Gravdell stopping in, saying, brutal. Come on, Callum McDonald, TFC. Change up, man. So we're hearing for the TFC rider, Callum McDonald. Good to see him out on course as always. Hopefully he was able to get a solid effort there. We are seeing M. Munt now making her way to the line here in the, looks like, A category for the women. There will be a women's race on Thursday. If you're out there watching, there is a dedicated women's race on Thursday that we are going to cover. So if you haven't gotten your Zwift Academy ride in yet, in the women's categories, definitely maybe shoot for Thursday Kiss women's specific race, as we will definitely be covering that as part of our coverage. We'll be in the A and the B and the C and the D category for the men's race, jumping around like we usually do. But then we will also have on our second login avatar, we will have the women's category. So what is the symbol on your hat? Thought it was BT Win to start with. This is a Mixer hat. We are partnered with Mixer, and we are actually, I believe, over on their featured tab right now. If you want to head on over to mixer.com/Zwift Community Live, you can find us over there. That is a streaming website that Microsoft has recently launched as a brand. So if you'd like to check that out, we're also live on Twitch, and the VODs are always over on our YouTube channel as well. Thanks a lot for all your questions. I really appreciate them, Lee Gosden. And thanks, Nathan. No problem, Jonathan Vargas. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope I answered all your questions. If you have any other questions, make sure to bring them on over. How to get Zada approval if you only race on Zwift. So you don't have to go race outside. It's actually just about so you actually do a power test with a strain gauge power meter. You take those files from that power test and you submit them to Zada just to show that you are able to hold the wattages that you are showing out on Zwift. So that's how you do that, John, for Zada approval. You only get flagged, though, usually if you are over 5 watts per kilogram at the front end of the A races. So it is a huge effort that they put in as a community service, actually. And it's like they do a lot of work, like, on behalf of the community. That's, you know, it's not paid work or anything, in order just to make sure the races are clean. The races are awesome when it comes to verification, that these are at least somewhat like the real life efforts that these riders can put out within some, like, that 2 to 3% that you can see, even up to 5%, I think they give, that you can see from the power meters. And so, you know, if they were to give Zada approval to all the categories, it would have to be beyond a full-time job with a whole lot of other, like, a whole lot more people on staff. You know what I mean? Checking out. So that's just not a reality. So they only flag those who are putting out pro numbers, essentially. Like, hey, guys, anybody with a FTP over 5 watts per kilogram, that's like domestic to international pro. Are you really that kind of rider? So that's the idea behind that, Lee. Or excuse me, John. So to the line here, it looks like Munt here getting her ride in for the Zwift Academy. Maybe the first woman across the line, I believe, just ahead of S. Slate and Daniels there. A little bit of a sprint to the line, it looks like here. Let's see if Munt is able to throw down up against these riders here. Looking through, going to see what's going on with the results for the women out on course. Nice job to Munt as she comes across the line. Looking through here to see how many women took place. Yeah, Munt was the first woman across the line that I can see here. So congratulations to her taking first place amongst the women out there getting in her Zwift Academy. Right. Also has it looks like Queen of the Mountain jersey as well. Fastest time up and over the top of the KOM for the women. So nice job out there to her as well. M still making her way to the line. It looks like going to be taking second place amongst the women. It does not look like they've raced a whole lot out on Zwift, as I am not seeing a whole lot of results actually in and amongst the women here, for month actually, in ZwiftPower.com. We are seeing Barnes out there. We're seeing Barnes out there actually in the B category as well, completing her Zwift Academy race. Friedberg is there, as well as Jelinski out of Canada. So we'll keep an eye out for those riders here as we answer more of your questions. Keep bringing them in. Jamie Tardy is saying that was hard. New FTP though, 355 watts. What does it mean when your watts per kilogram turn orange? Lee Gosden is action. So that means that you are over 8 watts per kilogram. And so the assumption there of Zwift is that if you are doing 8 watts per kilogram, you are going into somewhat of a sprint type effort. And so here's one of the other Zwift Academy women out there getting her ride in. It looks like in the C category, amongst some of the C category riders, trying to chase down about a 5-second gap there to Verhoeven. See if she can make this happen here. We'll go ahead and give her a ride on. Nice job as A. Barry is chasing her down right along with El Kronberg out of Denmark there, 2.7 watts per kilogram. So it means beast mode, Jamie Tardy is saying. So over 8 watts per kilogram, there isn't anyone in the world who has an 8 watt per kilogram FTP or 7 watt per kilogram FTP. And so because of that, Zwift then shows the 8 watts per kilogram as orange or more than that, because it's a sprint type effort. It's going into an effort that is definitely not going to be held for more than a minute or two at the absolute most. That's a full on like professional type effort from a track rider, right? At a minute or two at 8 watts per kilogram or something. So the 8 watts per kilogram or more orange numbers, it just means that they're going all out. That's what it means. It means that this is absolutely bonkers right now, and they're not going to be able to do it for very long. So that's what that's all about, Lee Gosden. Keep the questions coming. I'm loving them, and we'll keep answering as we allow the C riders to make their way to the line here. I am seeing, it looks like Joliffe, I believe, maybe in first place for the C's. No, we are seeing a Ore here. I believe maybe in that first place for the C category, but 4.5 watts per kilogram consistently at the front end of the race here. Let's go ahead and see what kind of effort they are throwing down here. In the C category, does look like it is B. Murphy, actually, making his way to the line. Oh, no, there was a swap up in the first place, actually, here. Ore actually made an attack up over the top of Box Hill. And it was a big group all together, but it was able to close it down to Murphy and get past him, actually, at 3.1 watts per kilogram for the duration. Now 3.3 for the duration of the race, but what an effort there from the man out of the UK here. Going to be taking the win in the C category, actually. We are seeing M Still now making her way to the line. Going to be the second place woman today out on course. Solid job from Still. A category was for Munt there. B category for Still. 5.1 watts per kilogram. Gets the better of Longva at the line there. We are seeing Marge Kaufman. Good to see her out on course. Not racing right now. Looks like she's out there for a run. Good to see you, Marge. Coming out of the USA in Wisconsin. Always good to see Marge out on course. And looks like she's going to be going for a run. Has that ZA badge, part of the Zwift Academy. This academy doesn't have any runs, though, so she's just out there getting her workout in. Good to see her there. B. Murphy, now we are seeing coming to the line, 3.1 watts per kilogram, a little bit behind Joel. If Joel's going to be taking second place in that C category, Murphy then third, it looks like, with Murray trying to chase that down, holding off a Brown now, it looks like. Brown now 5 meters, able to close it down, 5.7 watts per kilogram, got a cadence bug, it looks like there. Some sort of an issue, and Murray's like, dude, you gotta spin. What's going on with your pedals there? Brown's gonna be grabbing that next place out on course. Murphy now looks like for third, Brown for fourth, Murray now for fifth. P-Lock now just ahead of, it looks like, Lundgren. And it looks like he's going to be able to hold off Lundgren there for the Neo EVR. Out of Neo was racing EVR, but this is a KISS race out of Denmark. Real country boys and girls. Merritt now right along with Vangrid, and Alv now out of Spain. Bautista is there as well, giving all these ride-ons. We're just going to ride on to everybody here. But Barnes now coming to the line in the B category. Going to be our third place woman, I believe, out on course, as Mary Still takes second. Marianne Munt took first, and then it will be Kay Barnes, I believe, for third place amongst the women out there today for the Zwift Academy ride out there today. Looking through here, we are seeing how can I do well, be more likely to be chosen in the Zwift Academy. Matthew Judge. Matthew Judge, are you U23 first and foremost? You got to be U23. Rider that is between the ages of 18 and 23 for your official racing age. And then if you are between those, I would perform really well in the races. I would perform really well in the workouts, complete all the workouts, and do all the group rides. Do your absolute best in the workouts. Do them well. Do them progressively, though. I would not... Here's one thing I would suggest. I wouldn't shortchange yourself on your FTP in order to feel better about how you've done on the workouts. I wouldn't overcook yourself so that the workout doesn't get completed. But a lot of times I think that people who are new to FTP tests don't understand how to do them. And if they get a higher FTP in a race, they might not have done the FTP test well. Or they need the motivation of other people around them to push them. So just don't shortchange yourself on your FTP is the main thing, and complete the workouts well. Because I think that's what they're going to be looking at, and then they're going to be looking at the race results as well too. So if you're in the top percentage of those, I think they'll probably be whittling it down. I'm a community member. I'm not positive. I don't even think the people inside Zwift, besides the few who are, there's going to be, you know, a group of probably a board, I would think, inside of Zwift that's going to be making decisions on that, right alongside Team Dimension Data and their coaches and stuff. So I would definitely just make sure you're getting that FTP along with your VO2s and all those different racing zones that really matter for racing as high as you possibly can, and show off your performance in those things. Don't overcook yourself. Rest well for the workouts. If you were not training for the Zwift Academy prior to the Zwift Academy, you might want to shoot for next year, unless you are a very talented individual and you've been gifted with some amazing genes. Because I think anybody who will be selected for the Zwift Academy was training for something else prior to the Zwift Academy coming into focus, that they were a cyclist prior to that. I might be incorrect about that. And they might actually find, though, a rider who's got some amazing genetics who just started riding, and all of a sudden they're pulling off this amazing functional threshold power, amazing VO2 max, and they're like, whoa, this guy might not have the endurance. They might not have but look at the response rate in this rider, right? So who knows what the selection process is going to be like. I am not behind that, but those are some of my suggestions, especially on the shortchanging yourself and making the workouts too easy. No problem, Matthew Judge. No problem whatsoever. And Lee Gosden is asking, I have seen my watts per kilogram flash to white when hitting 4 watts per kilogram. What does this mean, tempo? Yes, Lee Gosden, this means that you are getting into more of a tempo to threshold range for your effort. So that's the changing in the numbers there. All right, I think that is going to be it for our coverage. You can keep on bringing the questions on in, though. We'll sit with a little bit of question and answer time. You guys got more of them. You got some questions? Bring some questions here. We'll take a look here at the results as we do answer questions as well. For the A category then today, we can go ahead and see that monstrous effort there from Mr. Jonathan Levy, actually. Great job to him. The place that I do see all of these is over at zwiftpower.com. You can also keep eyes on the live video at the same time, as it is embedded, just so you guys know, so you do not miss any of the action, actually. So you can see the live results as well as the live broadcast of any of the broadcasts that we do, as well as chat with Twitch. It's right there as well. So all plugged right on in. Jonathan Levy for first place in the A category. Johan Gren grabs that DQ, get that man a strain gauge power meter. Jon Gravo with that second place, it looks like, with Simon Onvik for third. Peter Szynski, then Gavin Richardson rounded out the top 5. Then we did have, it looks like, Valdir Valbiker, but he was at 4.3 watts per kilogram and on the what we call the Go Power Rangers ZP's Zwift Power there. So then we will go down to Matt Ray with that solid 3.6, Briley there with 3.8, and then David George with an upgrade to that A category. So it will be Wiltz Ryder, third place out there today in the B category. In the C category then, as we look through here, we do have, sorry about that, looks like Adam Ore with an upgrade, Russell Joliffe upgrade, Bradley Murphy right on the edge though, right on the edge at that 3.2. Solid job to them. First, second, and third. We'll just call it as we see it. Adam Ore, Bradley Murphy, as well as Rui Geronimo there for, Andy Brown, because that was a B category rider. For the women, as we said earlier, it was Marianne Munt, followed up, I believe, by Mary Still, 1604. But what's interesting there, they started, I believe, 3 minutes after. So Mary Munt was able to be faster there, it looks like. Mary Still for third. And then it will be, second. And then Courtney, there it looks like Barnes coming out of the USA for third place today amongst the women. Susan Friedberg for fifth. And then it looks like Jelinski there out of Canada will be taking fifth place, I believe, fifth or sixth place out there for the women. So let's go ahead and see if we got any more questions coming on through over at Zwift's Facebook. Otherwise, next up, it is going to be the SDR Race Series tomorrow, unless we've got Casey Shum maybe doing the doing a Zwift Academy ride maybe later tonight. Pronounce Levi. Someone, thanks for all this. Oh gosh, yeah, Levi. I got it now. Pronounce Levi. You already told me that once. How do I get faster? Simon Oxenhammond says, Simon's been on Zwift for quite some time. How do I, now he's just asking. He's been on Zwift for, I think, like since beta tester. And now you're just asking. I think I have screenshots of Simon Oxenham on the Jarvis Island, actually. I believe I have screenshots of Simon on Jarvis, I believe, right along with Scotty Weiss and Lawson Craddock, I believe. I'm not positive on that, but good to see you out there, Simon, and nice job in the racing today. I'm sure you got an amazing workout. So, all right, that's going to be it for me today. Make sure to hit those follow buttons for any time that we do go live. Mixer, Twitch, Facebook. Zwift Community Live's Facebook actually is a separate space than Zwift's Facebook, so make sure to head on over there and hit that follow button. You can also see all of our VODs over at our YouTube channel. ZwiftCommunityLive.com is the place to go for all the links to all of our social places, social media, online places at which we do broadcast as well as communicate with the community. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. That'll be it for me. Here's a little video about what happened last year with the Women's Zwift Academy and a couple of other rides that you can join out on Zwift. Especially watch out for that AHDR ride, the Aussie Hump Day ride on Wednesdays. And also shout out to the WBR boys, as we did have a solid ride from them. We'll show you a little bit about their rides out on Zwift too.
Last year, Zwift Academy opened its doors, launching a groundbreaking worldwide talent search to find the next pro rider for Canyon SRAM racing. The competition exceeded all expectation. Over 1,200 women from 51 countries signed up to take the challenge in Zwift. In a truly grand finale, on the island of Majorca at Canyon SRAM's training camp, Leah Thorvaldsen of Little Rock, Arkansas, was crowned 2016 Zwift Academy champion and the newest member of Canyon SRAM Racing. This year, it could be you.
Oh wow, I could have a shot at a pro contract, but it's for anyone. It's a huge step forward in your own fitness. And so it's not all just about the one person who's going to get a pro contract. It's a win for everyone who's involved.
Zwift Academy is this great program where Zwift is trying to get the women more involved. It's just this huge, to me, a great community. There's women coming up going, I get how this could fit into my life.
What I think is so nice about Zwift Academy, I really think that it was inspiring lots of women to take part in this adventure. Maybe they've gone far beyond their own expectations.
How far I got in Zwift, there were 1,200 females that joined, and there were 100 females that finished Zwift, and I can't believe I was one of them.
Yes, it's hard, but come on, you can do it, you know, just do your best, because it's not just the physical side, it's the determination and to boost your confidence in anything else you do, not just cycling.
Find out how strong you really are. Find new friends from around the world. Find out if you have what it takes to go pro.
Do not wait, just follow your dreams.
Be the best cyclist you can be. Head over to academy.zwift.com to find out more and sign up today.